had a bit of a failure in trying to install those radius arm bushings. Good morning, everybody. Exciting day today. We're going to be working on the truck. Could you have guessed that? So what we're going to do today is install these new bushings on those radius arms. So thank you to my Instagram folks who helped me identify what that part is. This is the twin I-beam suspension on this truck, and those radius arms, I didn't know what kind of bushings I was looking for. So I put it on Instagram and asked, and I got an answer, radius arm bushings. That's what it turned out to be. So I got these. These are Moog parts. $24, I believe they were. So I've been spraying PB Blaster on the connections up under there. Each side has a bracket. There's 3 bolts that hold the bracket to the frame. They go through the frame with nuts on the other side. And then the radius arm itself has a big size nut on there. So we'll loosen that big nut, then undo those 3 bolts. The bracket comes off, take the bushings out, put the new bushings in, and then reverse it and stick it all right back up in there. So I'm excited because I know this is gonna, change the handling characteristics, and I'm hoping that it's what I was feeling, because it definitely failed on this one side here. So I'm hoping we get this all done. We're gonna put the doghouse back in. We got that finished up yesterday. And then we're gonna take the truck for a ride, and we're gonna check to see how the steering feels, okay? So I'm excited for that. So my daughter's supposed to stop over this morning. We're gonna do these bushings, put the doghouse in, and then I'm gonna cook us some steaks on the grill. So thanks for joining us in this video. We had a bit of a failure in trying to install those radius arm bushings. So the large turned out to be a 28 millimeter or 1 1/8 socket. That's the large nut. So 28 millimeter, you go to the store, try to find a 28 millimeter socket, you get 27, you get 29. The 28 seems to be very elusive. So I tried Hobo Freight. They didn't have a 28 millimeter. They had 1 1/8 as part of a kit, a set, which would have cost me $25. So I walked down a few storefronts to Advance Auto Parts store, and they had an individual 1 1/8 5-point socket for $8. So I bought that. It fits. It's technically 28 millimeter, but 1 1/8 will work, 5-point. So I was able to get those loose, but then I went to loosen what turned out to be 21 millimeter, the 6 total, 3 on either side, the bolts that pass through the frame, and they have a nut on the back side. I can't get those to spin to save my life. I've been PB blasting them for a couple days. I get the ratchet on there. It's a 1/2-inch drive. It's a big ratchet. Put my leg on it. I cannot crack it. Hi, gang. Well, good news this morning. So yesterday, in my attempt to do these radius arm brackets, I was unable to get the nuts loose. I'm going to get up under here and see if I can't show you all what I'm dealing with. So this is the radius arm bracket. This is the radius arm itself that runs up front, and the bushings are right here. So the radius arm passes through this bracket. Big nut right here. So the radius arm bracket, there's 3 bolts that pass through the frame, nuts on the back side. So I was spraying these nuts for a couple days with PB Blaster to loosen them up. I got up under here, put my biggest tool on here, got my leg on it. I could not get these to budge. So I packed it in yesterday. So I basically had given up and I was going to have to go to a shop and have them use air tools. Well, last night it struck me, do the nuts spin or are they captive? Are they welded? Sure enough, I came out here, the nuts are welded, you have to spin the bolts. So I just put it's a 15 millimeter, I put a box end wrench on there, a combination wrench, put my foot on it, spun loose. I've got these 3 loose on this side. Got my ratchet on it now and I'm spinning them out. And there's plenty of room for the bolts to walk out. They're not going to get hung up on anything. So we're back in business and I'm so happy that I'm going to be able to do this job without having to spend extra money. Those bushings were 24 bucks and I'm doing it myself. Cheap. So it ended up, part that I missed when researching how to do this job is that you have to jack up the truck to take the stress off of the radius arm. So I had all the bolts out, but the radius arm was under pressure from the load, you know, the suspension, the weight of the truck. So it was cantilevering like that. And when you jack up the truck, it takes the pressure off the radius arm and lets it drop down a little bit. So this is my jack and some jack stands that I gave to Brenda, Apollo's mom. So I just texted her a few minutes ago and said, hey, any chance that the jack and jack stands that I gave your brother are over there? Can I borrow them? And she said, yeah, he's here. He's got them right here. So I drove over there real fast, borrowed the jack stands, came back here. Obviously this truck the frame is very high off the ground, so the jack is maxed right now. So I just stack this wood under here. It's secure. The wood is all very evenly stacked and full sheets of wood, nothing sketchy looking. So I'm okay with, even if the truck came off of the jack or the jack failed, this truck doesn't come close to touching me when I'm under it. So I just finally got this off of here. I used a ratchet strap and hooked it to the bracket and ratcheted it towards the rear to pull the radius arm out of the housing there, because the bushings really had it kind of stuck in there. So take a look. So here's the radius arm and there's the failure. Look at that. And you see that? I don't know if this ring comes off. Kind of captive, but it's worn all the way through. I don't know. Terrible camera work. I'm sorry. I'm covered in dirt, and so there's a hole right through it down in there. So it's definitely had failed. The rubber's all deteriorated. So now it's time to put it back together. So hopefully I can get this back together, and then I'll go to the other side. Okay, I'm gonna take a break, call it for the day. It's about 4 o'clock. So the side I started on, finally got it apart. I got the new bushings on. It's just a matter of now getting the bracket back up on the frame, lining up with the 3 bolt holes. So through a series of prying and wedging wood blocks and a hammer, I got it in there and I got a bolt through, and it started on the nut, and I got another bolt through, and I got another bolt through. I just spent the last 45 minutes trying to get another bolt to start in that nut on the other side. It's, you know, off by a hair, so it's starting and kicking. It's every second turn it kicks back a thread, so it's starting in, and so it's not perfectly lined up, and I'm trying to pry, and 45 minutes to get that one bolt to start, and I can't get it. So I'm losing my patience, and I don't want to be unsafe, and I got to get something to eat. So I'm going to call it for the day. I just threw all the tools in the garage. I'm just going to leave it sit here, think about it overnight. Okay, good morning. Day 2, working on these radius arm bushings. So yesterday, I just couldn't get these second 2 bolts through to start threading into the nuts on the other side. So that's where I'm starting this morning. I got it. I got that side finished. So I am a firm believer in when you get to the end of your ropes, you take a break, you sleep on it, you come back the next day. So everything, let's see if you can get a look at it. So everything is finished. There's the new bushings. So my question is about this nut right here, because I mean the more I tighten it, the more it pulls that back. So I don't know if that's part of suspension adjustment. So what I did was I tightened up the nut to kind of match the other side and how far out it was sticking through the nut. So everything is buttoned up and done. This is drivable right now, like it is. So I'm going to lower the jack down and we're going to get to the other side. All right, I got this big one loose. I had to slide my whole body under the truck from that side to use my leg to push the ratchet this direction. I tried with my arm strength over here and I couldn't get it to loosen, but now we've got it loose. So I've only got a little bit of pressure on the floor jack. I'll crack these loose, and once they're all loose, then I'll go ahead and jack it up. You know, putting brute force on the vehicle when it's up on the jack, I don't particularly like that. Okay, so here's the assembly, the bracket from the passenger side. This side came off like 3 minutes. I had it off. The other one was, man, look at this. Now the other one I had to hook a ratchet strap while the bracket was still in the truck. I had to hook a ratchet strap to the bracket and then the other end of the strap to the back of the truck and pull to get the bracket to come off of the bearing. Now you saw this side just came right apart, so tremendously different between the two sides. I am seeing now the other bearing, or the other bushing, this in here, this area had worn all the way through. It was all eaten away. I mean, this is really deteriorated. This is crumbling right here. The rubber has broken down. It's not worn as bad as the driver's side was, but it definitely shows signs of wear. Wow. That's how it goes together, just like that. Okay, well my estimate of being done in 10 or 15 minutes didn't hold true, but that side was tremendously easier. I ended up having to use ratchet straps to raise the radius arm up. So I ratchet strapped around it and up around the frame and brought it up. Then I used another ratchet strap to grab the bracket itself and pull it forward. It needed to go forward a little bit because that arm, once it's unbolted with the wheel assembly, can do this. So once I got those ratchet straps in there, I got one bolt started and then the second bolt and then the third. You know, it took me about 15 or 20 minutes of fighting to get them lined up, but I got it and it's done. Okay, we're gonna take the truck for a test drive and see how it drives, how it handles. I'm listening because, you know, we have the doghouse back installed in here, and I feel like it's a lot quieter right now. Well, a lot. I'm hearing the engine because the windows are down, but I feel like it is quieter. So not only did we have an exhaust leak, but now we've got that fixed and we've got that sound insulation in there. So I finished up doing the radius arm bushing, so this will be the first drive to see if I notice anything different. Gosh, I hope this solves my issues. I think I notice a difference already. And we've only gone 300 or 200 yards. I think I notice a definite difference. See what's behind us? There, that's what's behind us. Jesus. Hi everyone. So this is the next day. You can probably tell I went to the barber. I was in a conversation with my barber. New York State forced them to shut their barber shop. They were closed for 70 days and they just were able to reopen the first of this month. 70 days. I don't even know how they're still eating. Anyways, so drove the truck around for about 10 miles. That definitely was the issue that I've been feeling in the front end of the truck. The steering is back to being nice and tight. There's no more of this crazy wandering that I used to have. So those radius arm bushings definitely were causing that. One that failed, that is probably, that failure is what changed everything, like from one day to the next, and I started feeling all those issues. So if you're getting wandering front end, start with radius arm bushings, $24, $25. And you can do them yourselves. You know, having gone through it, it's not a hard job at all. You just got to have a little bit of time and have a floor jack and a couple of hand tools and you can do it. So that worked great. I'm super happy about it. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, give us a thumbs up. Lefty doesn't want you to give us any thumbs downs. Leave us some comments. See everybody really soon. Everybody take care. I'll have an upcoming video with some general updates about what we're doing. And we got a giveaway coming up. I've got a 400 watt power station we're going to give out. So we'll see y'all really soon.